guys, welcome back to my channel. So I made my very first Ulta purchase of 2020. Very exciting. And in it, I picked up a bunch of new drugstore launches that had piqued my interest lately. We've got some things from e.l.f., from NYX, from Physicians Formula, Essence, and then I also threw in a couple of products I received from Focallure Cosmetics that they sent to me in PR that I kind of wanted to test out. So today I'm going to be showing you everything that I've got, and we're going to be doing it try-on style, so we're going to create this look that I'm wearing right now together. Spoiler alert, I really like how it came out. So yeah, if you want to see what I have recently hauled from Ulta and hear my initial thoughts on all these products, we're about to get into it. So the first product that I picked up from Ulta was the e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer. So I know the Putty Primer has become like a new cult favorite product. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Tarte Silk Canvas Primer. I went with the matte version because I have really oily skin, and I have a little sample of the Tarte one, and I do like it, but I find that it can make me shiny like a little bit faster than some other primers. So I was really curious about this matte version and thought maybe this would work better for me. So I did apply my Coats sunscreen primer already, because while I do use that as a primer many days under makeup, I primarily use it for sunscreen, and we gotta protect our skin from the sun, so I did still want to use that. But we'll just like double primer it up with this today. So this is a pretty sizable little jar. I'm pretty sure a little goes a long way with this product. I don't have like a little spatula thing to take this out, so we're just gonna like use the back of my fingernail, be super hygienic here. And we'll just press this into the areas where I have large pores, which are right around my nose, in between my eyebrows, and on my chin. I will say, to first touch, the texture does remind me a lot of the Tatcha primer. It's very slippy, creamy, but it does feel like this one almost is more matte. I can sense the texture. Oh yeah, it sinks in and dries down super quickly, whereas I feel like the Tatcha Silk Canvas stays a little more silky feeling. So here's to hoping this will mattify these areas of my face really well today. So this is obviously something I can't really give you guys too much information on right now. I'm gonna need to wear test it. I'll need to use it with a variety of different bases to see if I notice any difference. But I am really excited to finally have this in my collection and like understand what the hype is all about. And I'll definitely let you know if I think that this matte version works well to control shine. So what do I want to use for foundation today? Maybe we'll use the Tarte Foundcealer. I've been wearing this a lot for every day. This is not a very matte foundation. I would say it's more of a satin finish, very natural. It's hydrating, but not too dewy. So I feel like this will be good to see how it plays with a matte primer, to see if I notice whether or not it helps me to be less shiny than wearing this without a matte primer normally would make me. And then to blend this guy in, we're gonna be using this big ol' sponge from e.l.f. It didn't start out this way, I just dampened it. This is their total face sponge. So as you can see, this is the box that it used to be inside of. So it was significantly smaller before I wet it. This came as like a free gift with purchase for buying, I think like $15 worth of e.l.f. products. So we got the Putty Primer and then a few other things, which you guys will see momentarily. But I don't know if I've heard too much about this. It says you can use it wet or dry. We're going to use it wet today. It does feel very soft and squishy. The texture is a little bit more rough than some other like drugstore sponges I've tried, which sometimes have a very smooth finish to the outside, but this actually is almost in a way more similar to a beauty blender, like it's a little bit more porous. So I'm really curious to see how well this blends in product. So we'll just start by dotting the good old Foundcealer around my face, and then we'll use the flat edge to pounce the foundation in. Oh yeah, I feel like this is working very well. Also, because this is a very large surface, I feel like it's also really fast. All right, so there's my foundation blended in. I think this worked very, very well. I just looked it up on the Ulta website, and this sponge retails for $5, which I think is a very, very fair price. We'll see how well it washes and like how well it holds up to repeated use. But as far as how it blended in foundation, I think it worked really, really nicely. So my next product is also from e.l.f. We're starting out really e.l.f. heavy in the beginning of this video. I picked up the Hydrating Camo Concealer with a satin finish. Now, if you guys have been around for a while, you'll know last year I tested out the original Camo Concealer and I was not a huge fan of it. I felt like it was just a little too heavy, even when I used it sparingly on my under eye area. I do have some fine lines. I'm 32, you know, they happen. So I just noticed with some very matte concealers, they really can just make my under eyes look very crepey and very wrinkled, and so I wasn't a big fan of the original formula, but I'm hoping with this more hydrating version that maybe I won't have those issues. So I grabbed the shade Light Beige. Honestly, I find it so hard to shop for complexion products online at Ulta because the pictures of the swatches are like completely unreliable and not at all indicative of what the actual product will look like. This particular shade is described as being light with golden beige undertones, and it looks like, oh, it's kind of hard to say. It might be a little dark for the under eye area, but we'll see how it goes. So you've got a big old doe foot applicator on here, very similar to the original Camo Concealer. It's kind of trying to be like a Shape Tape dupe. So we're gonna start small. I'm just gonna do like one dot under each eye because I really don't want to overdo it in case this, concealer is super full coverage. As they say, it's much easier to put on more than it is to take it off if you put on too much. So I think we're gonna go in with a little pointed end of this sponge. We'll see how this blends. I will say that this is big for the under eye. It's like not the easiest to use, so I'm kind of like pinching it a little bit to really get it up in there. I'm gonna take some of the excess up on my lid as like an eye primer as well. Okay, so on first inspection, I feel like the coverage of this is not bad. It's definitely kind of brightening up my under eye. I think the shade is pretty all right. It's maybe not quite like the most brightening, but I don't think it's like, a terrible match for me. I don't know that I would call this a hydrating concealer though. Like looking at my under eyes, I feel like this looks very matte to me, and obviously I haven't set my face yet, so I find that to be interesting. Like when I think of hydrating, like I think of a very emollient concealer like the It Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye. Like that one, before you set it, it's like wet. It's like very, very emollient on your under eyes, and this is definitely not that. I mean, I know it's described as a satin finish, but like, I don't know, to me it doesn't really look satiny. It looks more matte, but maybe a little less dry than the original formula. Also, why is my camera battery telling me that it's about to die? I literally just started filming. I must have used an uncharged battery, so hold on, let me go fix that. All right, battery changed. Let's move along. I don't have a new loose setting powder to test out today, so I think I'm just gonna go in with my good old trusty Maybelline Fit Me powder. Now, I will say, as far as how my under eyes are looking right now, I am noticing the concealer is settling into my fine lines just a little bit, but that's pretty normal. I feel like that happens to me with literally any concealer. Like, nothing is going to completely get rid of the texture of fine lines. But other than that, it looks pretty good. I almost like don't want to set my under eyes. Like I'm a little bit afraid that if I do, it's gonna look too dry and too heavy. But I do want to set down like the rest of my face because this Foundcealer doesn't tend to dry down completely. Like it does feel just a little bit tacky, so I don't want my blush and bronzer and whatnot to like skip on my face. So we're going to at least set down everything else, but I may just leave the under eyes as is. Also, I have been back on the Beauty Blender Powder Puff bandwagon as per late. Like ever since Tarte Beauty came out with her Blendiful, I was like, ooh, why don't I start using my Beauty Blender Puff again? I really, really liked this. And then I just, moved on to brushes because I was testing out some new things. But honestly, when it comes to setting my face, I think this is my favorite tool to use because it just has this way of like melding and pressing the powder into the foundation and locking it down and just, I don't know, making my skin super smooth and airbrushed looking, and also it keeps it really, really matte. I feel like my makeup just wears better than when I set my face down with a brush and powder. Like, it doesn't seem like it should matter, but for some reason, I don't know, I feel like it just does. So I think I'm gonna switch things up today and do my brows before I do the rest of my face. So we're finally moving on to a brand that isn't e.l.f. I've got a new brow product from Physicians Formula to try out. This is their Organic Wear Brow Shaping Gel with jojoba oil. I saw this and it looked very intriguing. They do also have this in a couple other colors as well as in a clear formula. I got the shade Soft Black because I figured this would match my brow color the best. And as you can see, this has the teeny tiniest, most microscopic spoolie on it I have ever seen in a brow product. I personally have never used a product with a spoolie this small before, but I don't think they're the first brand to do this. I feel like the M Cosmetics brow gel might have a similar kind of applicator. I might be wrong, but from what I can remember from seeing other people's videos, I do think that one is similar to this. So either way, I'm just kind of curious to see how this will work in my brows. I've been kind of liking putting in a tinted brow gel first and then going in with a pencil to kind of fill in any sparse areas. I think it looks really natural and it usually like wears really well on me throughout the day. And I have not seen anybody use this product yet, so I'm just like really curious to see if it's any good. So we'll go in the way that I've been doing my brows with these kinds of products. In the front first and then blending back. Immediately I can tell the formula on this is pretty wet and it's definitely adding in quite a bit of fullness and tint, but I'm also making kind of a giant mess. Part of this will just be getting used to how to use this applicator. Like I'm getting product like all up here on the top of my brow. So that's not great. But fortunately we can fix these things. Okay, that's super bizarre. I feel like in wiping this away, it almost is like crumbling off as opposed to smudging. Very, very interesting texture. I feel like the color match is good though. I like the way that this is looking in my brows. I feel like it's nice and cool toned, which I appreciate. I feel like that generally looks more natural in my brows than something that's really auburn and warm. And I do feel like this has quite a bit of hold, like my brow hairs are staying where I'm putting them with this. So yeah, I definitely am liking this on first impression. I mean, I'm gonna need to clean up a bit and I'm also still gonna wanna fill in with a pencil. This is my Focallure Artist Sketch Eyebrow Pencil. So, I mean, I would do this anyway with like my Benefit Gimme Brow. So we'll see how these work and play together. I am a little bit weirded out by how like chunky the formula is and that it's like balling up and falling off if I like touch my brows. But at the same time, I feel like it's also really easy to clean up in that respect. Like it just kind of wipes off wherever you applied it and you don't want it to stay. I mean, I guess we'll see what that means for how well it lasts, by the end of the day. All right, so here's how the brows are looking. I feel like they look pretty nice, actually. I'm pleased with the final result. Again, this is something I'll have to continue to test out, see how well it holds up, but I like the color. I like the hold that it has so far. I like the fact that it is very precise. I just think I'm gonna need to get used to using this style applicator. I did make a little bit of a mess, but I think that was more user error than anything else. So yeah, has some promise to it. So I didn't pick up a new bronzer, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use this Makeup Forever Artist face color in the shade S112 that I'm trying to pan. If you guys missed it, I did share a 2020 project pan kickoff video a little while ago, so I can link that for you guys up here in the cards if you want to check it out. But I feel like there's a good old dip in this guy. I'm feeling very confident in my ability to hit pan on this. Hopefully by my first check-in, but I mean, definitely by the end of the year. So I'm just gonna like quickly kind of contour and warm up my face, and I'm using a little Real Techniques contouring brush. So I do have a new blush to show you guys. This is not something that I hold from Ulta, but I just got it in PR and I thought this would be a good time to test it out. It's from Focallure Cosmetics and it's one of their Sun-Kissed Monochromatic blush duos. These are supposed to be a dupe for the Cover FX Monochromatic blush duos. They have two blush shades in here. One is slightly shimmery, the other one is matte. They also have this really cute little sun pattern embossed in them. And the exterior packaging is this really nice cream soft touch. It's like the same thing as the Artist Sketch Eyebrow Pencil. I do think it feels really like nice and luxe for a product that I think retails for under $10, under $15. I'm not sure what the exact price on this is, but I'll have it linked for you guys in the description box in case you want to check it out. So they sent me over the shade 03 Rose Flamingo, which is a very vibrant kind of berry toned blush. So I did test this out a couple of times just to see what the formula was like and how pigmented it was and whether or not it would go on really, really intense. And I actually found it to be fairly like easy to work with. I think you definitely need to use a lighter brush. You don't want to use anything too dense because then it is going to go on very heavy-handed. But I think if you just kind of like lightly tap in and pick up a little product, you don't have to like worry too much. So we'll just go ahead and buff this guy onto the apples of my cheeks. I am using one of these Judo Babe brushes. I forget which one this is. This is, I think, the powder brush. Maybe? I do really like these brushes though. They sent these to me sometime last year and I do use them quite a bit, and I think aesthetically, like, they are so gorgeous to look at. So yeah, a little goes a long way with this blush, but it blends in really nicely, and I feel like the color of this is very like fresh and very like spring summery. Like, it makes me feel like it's not 32 degrees outside. Now, I personally have not tried the Cover FX monochromatic blush duos, so I have absolutely no idea how this formula compares to that one, but I know those are very expensive, so if you liked the idea of those and you didn't want to spend the money on them, maybe this is a nice dupe option for you. All right, so moving back to what I hauled from Ulta, the next product that I've got here is the NYX High Glass Illuminating Powder. Honestly, I cannot remember the last time I picked up a new NYX product to test out. I feel like it has been ages. Like, I know that I bought like a refill, like a restock of the Epic Ink eyeliner last year, as well as the NYX glitter primer, but like those are products I had tried in years past. They weren't brand new to me, but something like brand new that I've never tried before from NYX, like I cannot remember the last time I picked something up. It's been ages. So I just was kind of curious about this. I also had 5 times points on any NYX products, and like, of all of the new NYX launches, this was the one that was calling to me the most. So I picked up the shade 01 Moon Glow, which looks like a really, really pretty kind of like peachy gold champagne highlight. I mean, this is not marketed as a highlight, but I feel like illuminating powder, highlight, gotta be kind of the same thing. Just looking at the way this appears in the pan, I have a feeling this is going to be a softer, more natural highlight. Ooh, the texture on this though, it feels creamy. Like, this doesn't even feel like a powder highlight. What? It's like almost like one of those putties. I was not expecting that at all. Let's give it a little swatch. Ooh. Okay. So yeah, definitely is a more subtle highlight once it's blended out, which is what I kind of expected. Like, it's not crazy insanely reflective in the pan, but I was not expecting that texture. Very interesting. Okay, so let's see, just for curiosity's sake, if this picks up on a brush or if we have to use our fingers or a sponge. I'm not really sure what's going to be the best way to apply this. I feel like something with this kind of texture might be a little weird to pick it up with a brush, but well, we'll try it out. This is a Beauty Junkies Pro Highlight Brush. I mean, it's showing up on the skin for sure. And I don't feel like it's going on streaky or weird or anything like that. And the glow is very pretty. Let's just try with fingers for ha-has. I'll just kind of use my hands to apply this to the bridge of the nose and to the Cupid's bow. Yeah, I don't know which way I prefer. I feel like with my fingers, a lot of the product is staying behind on my hands as opposed to transferring to the skin. So it actually might be better using the brush. Either way, I do think that's actually very pretty. Not that I was expecting it to be bad, but I think I was expecting it to be more of like a satin sheen, and I feel like This does give a really nice kind of like wet skin effect. It's a very, very thin textured highlight. Maybe it's similar to the Super Shock highlights from ColourPop. I haven't tried those before, so I can't personally speak to it, but that's kind of like what I imagine the ColourPop ones would feel like. So yeah, I do actually really like that. I feel like I will really enjoy this on my lighter makeup days as well, because I feel like the way that it just kind of melds into everything else is both natural and kind of like extra glam at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so moving on to eyes. I had picked up one of these little e.l.f. 4-pan eyeshadow palettes. I was really excited to test this out because I've heard so many good things about this. I got the shade Hot Jalapeno, which is the green one, and as you can clearly see, this exploded all over the inside of my Ulta box. They really did not package this well at all. It actually really drives me mildly crazy how poorly I feel like Ulta packages their online orders. Like, they just throw everything into a box with like a little bit of air bubble packaging, and like that's it. Everything is just rattling around, and when you have an eyeshadow that's fragile like this, like it literally has no hope. So I will tell you, it was a bear to clean up the rest of my order because there was green eyeshadow. This dark green shade shattered and was all over everything in my box. It took me quite a while to like clean everything up. My hands were like completely stained. It was quite a production, and I tried to salvage this as best as I could. Unfortunately, because this was like the darkest shade and these two metallic shades are almost creamy in texture, like it just stuck right to them, so it's kind of like mixed in, so it's kind of a little bit of a mess. I'm gonna try to use this and see if I can get a look out of it, but I might not do it today. I might do it off camera just because I feel like I'm not really sure how it's gonna work out just because of how beat up it is. So instead today we'll test out another new product. This was also sent to me in the package that I got from Focallure. This is their Crystal Impressionism 16-pan eyeshadow palette. This one looks kind of cool. Obviously, like, gemstones are kind of a big thing right now, so that's kind of what this is inspired by. And there are some very interesting eyeshadow textures in here. There are some like mottled shades, which I'm very curious to see how those swatch. There is also one pressed glitter that does look very chunky. I would be a little afraid to put that one on my eyes. As much as I love glitter, anything that has like really big particles in it, I'm a little like, I don't know if that's really super great. But either way, some of these other shades do look really nice, and I've enjoyed some of the other Focallure eyeshadow palettes I've tried in the past. So maybe let's give a few of these shades a swatch and see kind of what they feel like. I'm gonna try this citrine shade here, which is one of the mottled shades. Ooh, so that comes out as like a really pretty peachy matte shade. Ooh, like a hot coral, actually. That's very nice. Of course, I'm like swatching this on the bumpiest part of my hand, so it's not swatching the best. That's not the shadow, that's more me. And then I'm gonna maybe try this turquoise shimmer. This one looks more sheer, like it's more of a topper shade. I don't think this is gonna swatch super pigmented. Yeah, it's more of like an ethereal sparkle. This kind of reminds me of like the Super Shock shadows in the ColourPop palettes, the way that it swatches. It's really pretty though. It's almost kind of like this aqua blue and gold duochrome. Yeah, these have interesting textures to them. It seems like the kind of palette you're gonna need to like play around with and experiment with to see how each of the different shades performs. But I feel like you could definitely create some pretty looks with this. All right, cool. I think we have a feel for what we're working with here. Let me zoom you guys in a little bit so you can see a little better what I'm doing with my eyes. And let's just get straight to it. I'm gonna go in, I think, with the shade Rose Agate first, which is just kind of like a matte, dusty rose. And we'll put this into the crease. Ooh, hello. Pigment. Yeah, that did not take a lot to show up on my skin. Then next I'm gonna try this Cherry Quartz shade. A little dusty. We'll put this on the outer corner of the eye. Yeah, and I feel like these are building up quite nicely. They're not difficult to blend out. So far, so good. Then I'm going to use my finger to go in with the shade Amber, which is this really pretty rosy metallic color. I'm going to put this all over the lid. It's definitely pretty, but it's not like wham bam in your face. I feel like that shade could use like a glitter primer or something to intensify it. Not gonna lie, I'm also just kind of really curious about this turquoise shade. I feel like this would be kind of a cool like inner corner highlight. I'm gonna see how well this picks up on a brush and applies. Yeah, I feel like that actually does pick up fairly well on a brush, even though it's kind of more of like a creamy textured shadow. And again, this one is a little bit more of like a topper. It's got more of that like ethereal sparkle to it. Really pretty though. I just wiped that blue color off, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna go in with this rose quartz shade because it's like a similar texture. And let's try tapping this over the lid. Oh yeah. That really takes things up a notch. Editing me will have to see whether or not you can tell the difference on camera, but I feel like this eye has a lot more impact to it, layering that shimmery shade on top. So yeah, having just used a handful of shades in this palette, I think they're really pretty. I kind of get what they mean with like the crystal theme. I feel like with all the topper shades that are in here, you can get kind of more of one of those ethereal looks. Like if you're someone that wants like super metallic foiled shadows, I don't think that's what this palette is at all. It's definitely a lot more matte, and then it gives you the options to add that little bit of light reflective shimmer by tapping some of these shiny shades on top. All right, cool. I think I'm happy with the shadow. I'm just gonna finish things up with my Wander Beauty Wanderlust mascara because I don't have a new mascara that I picked up today to test out. So I'm gonna do that really quick, and then all we'll have left to finish up this look is lips. Okay, so let's move on to lip stuff. I picked up a couple of things. I got 2 lip liners from Essence because I couldn't decide which shade I wanted more, and it's funny because now that I have them both here in person, they look almost identical in the packaging. So we'll have to swatch these and see whether or not they are essentially the same or if they're different. So this is the Essence Stay 8-Hour Waterproof Lip Liner. It has a built-in sharpener. It's an automatic pencil. So the first shade I have here is called Tea Time. So this looks like a very pretty rosy nude color. And then the other one I got is called Because Duh. And this one is also a nude that looks near identical, slightly deeper maybe. This one looked like a lot more brown online. This is why, again, online swatches, they are so deceiving. I don't really mind that these are so similar because I honestly paid like $3 for these lip liners a piece. But just know that if you are trying to choose between these 2 colors, they are very similar. The Tea Time one is just slightly lighter. And then to go with our lip liner, I did also pick up a new lipstick to try out. I have not heard anybody talk about these, but they looked really nice. These are the Physicians Formula Organic Wear Nourishing Lipsticks with Butter Blend. Here's to hoping this one does not taste like sunscreen, because it doesn't have any sunscreen in it that I can tell. So hopefully a better experience than I had with the butter lipsticks. And I got the shade Buttercup, which is, again, a really, really beautiful sort of rosy nude. So let's give this guy a swatch, see what the color looks like. Ooh, love the shade. Seems like it's pretty creamy, has decent pigment to it. Definitely the kind of thing you could put on very sheerly, but also like layer up to full opacity. And of course, my nose right now is not like at its peak performance, but I feel like this has a slight smell to it, like it's slightly sweet, but it's not very strong. Cool. So I think looking at these 2 lip liners, I think I might go in with the Because Duh one, because the other one is just like a little bit more mauve-y toned, and I don't know if it's going to complement this sort of warmer lipstick color as well. So let's give this guy a go and see. Ooh, that glides on really nice. For a lip liner that's as inexpensive as this one is, I feel like it's applying beautifully. Oh yeah, I really like that formula a lot. It's very smoothing, it's very creamy without being too slippy. Like it definitely still is a lip liner that feels like it's like locked in there, but I feel like it kind of smoothed out the look of the texture on my lips, like it's not wrinkly and dry. Very, very nice. Now this color is definitely a little bit more mauve purple than this lipstick tone is, but we'll see how they play together. All right, so now that I applied this, I definitely get the kind of more cake battery scent a little bit more. Very, very creamy feeling on the lips. It's a little thick in texture, but I also feel like maybe I didn't need to apply even as much as I did. And it does look just super smooth and super pretty on the lips. Definitely a very forgiving formula if your lips have a lot of texture. Just based on how creamy this feels, I don't think this is gonna be super long wearing. It's got a nice satin finish to it, so I think this is gonna be the kind of lip product you may need to blot off before you eat or drink, but it's pretty. I do like this a lot, and I like it a lot better than the Muru Muru Butter Lipstick from Physicians Formula, because I just could not get over the sunscreen taste of those. All right, you guys, so here is the completed final look. I'm actually really happy with it. I think it came out really nice. I don't feel like any of these products were like a super dud for me. I feel like my complexion right now looks awesome. Like my skin looks very, very smooth. I feel like my pores especially look very airbrushed. Everything is looking really, really nice and matte without looking super flat and cakey. So we'll see how long it stays like this. I feel like my under eye area does look a little creepy, and I didn't set it, which is kind of weird. Like I feel like the way this looks, like especially right here, I feel like looks a little crocodile-y on me. And I feel like it looked that way with the original Camo concealer too. So I definitely like would not set this with powder, and it feels completely dry even having not set it. So I think this is something, if I'm going to continue to use it, I'm just going to use it and let it set itself. But honestly, it's not like the absolute worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Like my under eyes definitely have looked worse than this. So I'm definitely more of a fan of this, I think, than the original Camo concealer, but we'll have to keep testing it out. And then honestly, like everything else I feel like is super beautiful. The highlight, gorgeous. This blush color is super fresh and pretty. The eyeshadows are honestly really, really lovely. Like they're kind of an acquired taste. You kind of have to be wanting a certain type of look. But if you like that sort of light, shimmery sparkle on the eyes, I think these are really nice. The lipstick feels super comfortable. Even the brows, I feel like, look really good. I feel like I did a better job with this brow than I did with this one, although that is kind of always the case. This is the good brow. This is the bad one. I think we all have a good brow and a bad brow. This is my bad brow. It's just really hard for me to do this one for whatever reason. So I think I'm just gonna need to play around with that gel a little bit more to get the hang of how to use it best. But yeah, all in all, I would say a very successful Ulta haul, minus my poor little hot jalapeno eyeshadow duo here, which rest in peace, little guy. We'll try to revive you if we can. But yeah, I definitely feel like that was money well spent. Oh, also the sponge. The sponge was great. For $5, I feel like this is pretty awesome. I mean, we'll see if it like falls apart after 3 washes. Hopefully not, but on a first go, I feel like this did an excellent job. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed seeing this little haul, try on style. If you did, I hope you will consider giving this video a thumbs up. I always really appreciate your support so much. And if you have tried any of these products, definitely let me know what you think of them in the comments down below. Did you also enjoy them as much as I did? Is there something that I should have a heads up about, like once you use it a few times, something I should be aware of? And if you haven't tried any of these products, let me know which one of them intrigued you the most. Which one would you be most likely to pick up? On that note, my tea is empty. I need a refill so that way I can get through the next video that I'm gonna film. I'm gonna try to do my beauty report for January because I am so behind on it. And I think I will probably post that video before this one goes up. So if it's already live and you haven't seen it yet, I will link it up here in the cards for you as well. So yeah, on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go, but I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.